If you're around our age, Halo probably changed your life in some way. It was such a massive moment in gaming, and even if you weren't a gamer, it changed the way media and video games were developed from then on. We want to capture the fun of that early 2000s deathmatch experience by creating team deathmatch in miniatures games, and the best way to do that is with Halo Flashpoint, which is basically the deathmatch mode of Halo, but in a miniature game. So we're gonna recreate the iconic characters from the machinima animation Red vs. Blue by Rooster Teeth, as well as build an entire map of Blood Gulch, built to be 3 separate Flashpoint maps that come together so we can play games of Flashpoint on it.
Are you filming?
But before we can build the board, I need to go and get a bit more inspiration, so I'm gonna jump back in this game.
Game over.
And this video is sponsored by Tabletop Stronghold. So why are we doing this with Halo Flashpoint? Well, Flashpoint is a 2v2 miniatures game that aims to reproduce the feeling of playing multiplayer games of Halo Deathmatch. There's Capture the Flag, you put together fire teams of Spartans, fight each other, you can pick up different guns, and we thought what better way to reproduce the vibes of early Halo than to actually just play the game that's trying to do that. But there's a few issues here. Flashpoint is played on a grid, and it's not very conducive to big, gorgeous, scenic terrain battles. But we saw that as a challenge. To make the most iconic Halo experience out of miniatures, we wanted to make the most iconic Halo map, Blood Gulch. Now there's going to be a lot of excess unused space if we take the direct map from the game. So what I'm going to do is make some proportional tweaks, basically squashing down the canyon walls on the top and the bottom of the map so they make a more of a rectangular shape that will surround our battle boards, and then zooming in a little bit on our focal areas of the bunker, just changing the scale slightly. Think of this almost as chibifying a very large map that uses vehicles and everything like that. Overall, it's going to look and feel like Blood Gulch, even if some of those proportions and areas are just pushed and pulled a little bit to make it work.
And who says what you learn in primary school doesn't come up in your adult years? Don't eat the glue.
I think this is the best way to have a super playable set of 3 side-by-side Flashpoint boards and still show off the iconic map. So let's do it.
We have to go and get boards from Buddings, so we're taking the big van.
Murray, we've just come back from Bunning and
We have
our boards that we're ready to do.
Board from Bunning.
The Halo Flashpoint. So we've got boards, we're gonna do 3 boards. The first thing we've got to do though is basically get our beautiful grids on the center of each of the boards. And Murray, how are we going to make grids on these boards?
with our teeth. But also, we're going to use some foam that we have. Basically, this stuff. It's nice and thin. It's basically it's just a sheet, and we'll lay that down. And because it's nice and soft, we can score into it the grid.
Grid montage!
So one of our chief considerations is how do we get a playable Flashpoint board, but also have this look like Blood Gulch. And Flashpoint's unique in it's played on a grid, and we need the grid on the board. So we have to carve a grid into the foam that we're gonna put terrain stuff on. How do we do that neatly and nicely? Well, there's a cosplay trick I remember, which is that you can basically scour a tiny line into the foam, use it really neatly with a sharp knife, and then using a heat gun, you can blow over the top of that and the heat will actually cause the crack to like separate, create a really nice effect. So we're gonna give it a try, and if it works, we'll do that to lay out all the grid on this foam. I mean, I think that works pretty well. So that's our after and our before. All right, so these have been left to glue overnight. I have a feeling they have glued spectacularly. But with them all glued, we can get a sense of how big our Blood Gulch is going to be. I think it's going to be really cool, and I do like the image of a tournament being played where 3 people get to play on Blood Gulch side by side. That's a bit of fun. But for now, the time has come to decorate the outside. We're actually going to leave the boards themselves as the last thing we do, as I block out the actual shape of the canyon, the terrain, and start to make this come together.
Okay, we're on to doing the basics of the third board here, and you can see we're sort of matching the contours of the canyon itself, keeping it sort of fast and loose. This is outside the play area anyway. We just sort of wanted to match, you know, the sort of iconic flows, you know, where some of the ramps are and the hidey holes. But you might notice, yo, this isn't a very tall canyon. Yes, correct. Mostly because when you're playing a game, you don't want to be doing these ones, right? You don't want to be reaching over something that's really tall. So we're just sort of giving the illusion, like all the raised areas that, you know, you could stand up and snipe on will be up here. But then we're going to add some extra pieces for some, you know, cinematic reveals and such that will sit on the outside and give that raised area. But for actually playing, you don't need all that. Get all the little terrain pieces, all the rocks and things that are sort of not in iconic places, but people have a lot of PTSD from having to hide behind certain rocks and trees, I think. That should be like a nice little memory. It's like, I remember that particular rock. Alan was a dick. Something like that. So, we're gonna finish gluing this down. It's all gonna match up nicely, and then we can start building up and adding the bunkers.
For wargamers, transporting your models can be a massive concern. Our sponsor, Tabletop Stronghold, has a fantastic solution in their Mag Case 2.0. For many years, I held on to the idea that I could keep using those pluck foam cases from like the early thousands, but it's been pretty clear with miniature design direction that that's just a fast way to get your spindly models broken, as you really can't fit a square peg into a round hole. There are multiple sizes of Mag Case available for you to try, and they come in a modular arrangement with trays that you can take in and out, and also adjust the height, which makes it perfect for armies of different sizes, and things like vehicles as well fit fine here. One of the other features I really like is that it functions as a display case and a storage case. So it's really obvious not only which models are in your case, but also that they're your models. Oftentimes I've seen at gaming conventions that multiple people have the same carry case, so it's great to, at a glance, know what's yours. Just like these Trader Guard and Sakura Tau. Been a while for them, hasn't it? The cases come with magnets as well if you don't have them, so you can magnetize your miniatures. And the boxes themselves are strong enough to hold a 250-pound wizard, which we mostly included because we really liked this clip. Tabletop Stronghold have free shipping to most of the world. That's USA, Canada, UK, New Zealand, Australia, and much of the EU. And they are having their biggest sale ever with up to 40% off for Black Friday. So please use the link in our description if you're interested in getting a magnetic carry case. Thank you to Tabletop Stronghold for sponsoring the video, and back to the video.
So the board is underway and it's progressing really nicely, but no board is complete in a war game without the miniatures that come with it. And of course, we're gonna paint the miniatures that are in the box. And we have decided, because we're reliving all this nostalgia, we're gonna paint them as the Red vs. Blue from Rooster Teeth, the little machinima production they made, which is really just a bit of fun. We get to do a bit of extra painting, you know, it's not just red team and blue team. There's a bit of variation we can have fun with. However, to distract you from these small details, I'm gonna hit you with some carbon dating, which is gonna make you really upset and probably cry in the corner like I did 10 minutes ago after learning all these facts. Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 1, was released in November of 2001. In fact, it was also a launch title for the very first Xbox. Microsoft, what have you done? Skyrim Elder Scrolls would not release for the first time until 2011. In fact, 2011 is the same year that Halo Anniversary came out, the HD remake of Halo 1. Feeling old yet? Warhammer 4th Edition and the Battle of Macragge box launched in 2004. Does it hurt yet? Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring came out the same year. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone came out in the same month. And the Game Boy Advanced came out in 2001 as well. Now, this is all really just a long-winded way of saying that the Red vs. Blue series started in 2003. The first episode was a 2-minute and 30-second short, which got wildly popular. Basically, everyone went, yes, we want this. And it became pretty much iconic and synonymous with Halo itself. In fact, future Halo games would contain Red vs. Blue Easter eggs. And so that is the Halo that I personally grew up with. It was a great time. It was the era of LAN parties, whether it was your mate's house or somewhere that was organized ahead of time, and you played games with people around a single TV. There was yelling, crying, lots of soft drink, and it was a good bloody time. You met lots of people. Where was I? Oh yes, it's time to actually paint the models. I am suitably attired, so you can probably guess that I'm going to be painting the red team. And to properly put myself in the mindset of my yesteryear nostalgia, I am going to prime my miniatures thus. There, we have our red plastic miniatures painted black, so I can paint them red again. Art. Now, if you're familiar with red versus blue, this probably doesn't need any explaining, but if you don't know who these characters are, this is the red team, led by Sarge, and he wears bright red. He's no nonsense, likes giving orders, and is a little bit psychotic. Griff, who is making his way through orange and is going to end up just a little bit shy of yellow, is very sarcastic, doesn't want to do anything, and I hate to admit how much I've related to him over the years. Simmons is in maroon, and he is the hard-working bootlicker. That's about his entire personality, to be honest. He always wants to be acknowledged for all his hard efforts that go unseen and unnoticed. And then we have Donut in light red. Donut is donut. Enough said. And if somehow your interest has been sparked on this random ass web animation from 2003, the gist of red versus blue is that there are two opposing forces in a canyon, each one has a base, and both sides could be likened to a dumb dog chasing its own tail, both seeking intelligence and validation, and yet only finding violence and tomfoolery. And I think I've just summarized about 5 seasons worth. Anyway, paint and stuff. I finished putting down solid tones of color for each of these characters, and we are well and truly into the middle of the ugly phase. And it's time to fix that with a bit of a wash on each of these characters, tone the colors down a little bit, but also provide that shading that we are so lacking at the moment. Then I can start highlighting, giving all that interesting contrast and making all the angles of the armor pop. Final steps will be painting up all the weapons and black parts, just making them look nice and shiny. The needler that Griff has found in this particular zone of existence will get some specific attention. And then after that, I think I'll paint up the visors, make them a bit reflective. And honestly, that's about it. The Halo 1 color customization was basically pick a color, so I like it.
So we have our blue team here, all made up. Didn't have to assemble them. Great, love that. So I'm just going to spray them black, but I'm just going to have a quick look at what Murray has done with spraying his. Yeah, I'm just going to spray them.
So Murray has painted red team and he's had a lot of fun doing that. So it's up to Jen and I to paint blue team. Yay. And the first character I'm going to paint today is Caboose. Now, for those who don't know red versus blue, Caboose is probably the fan favorite. He's just a general idiot. He's quite likable. He always gets the gang into a bunch of trouble. And he really is in a comedy show, the comic relief. But he's also just painted the generic blue. They say the only people that wear the base colors are privates and commanders. And Caboose is new on the job and he gets the basic blue. Now, Murray had laid out a pretty solid foundation for how we were painting all of these, which makes it nice and easy. I follow his exact steps. I just do them blue. We're picking out all the armor panels blue. We're highlighting in a highlight color. We're leaving the recesses black and then painting them with a pair of highlight colors as well, painting the helmet. It's really quite simple, but as soon as you start to move away from the standard colors, such as when I moved on to painting Tucker, that's when I got to introduce my own things. Now, Tucker is another member of Blue Team. It's basically him being the classic jock male character who's desperately after female attention and likes making sexy comments and talking about sex all the time. Now, of course, this was the early thousands, so this kind of humor was super normal, and overall, it was pretty tame anyway. Despite that, that character trait slowly fades away in the background, and the main thing I remember him as is being the teal guy. So with this blue paint coat, I use lighter colors and put in a nice teal wash. This just keeps it in the undertones, and when I highlight back in my light blues, he really does look like part of blue team, which leaves the remaining 2 blues for Jen.
That's right, I got 2 of probably my most favorite characters from Red vs. Blue. And first up, we have Church. If you don't know Church, he's the colonel of Blue Team, and he is sarcastic, but very much in charge.
And dead.
And dead. And also, spoilers, an AI.
And dead again.
And dead again. Yes, he is portrayed as a ghost for some of the season, which is very, very funny. So when I was painting him up, I kind of wanted to incorporate this into his armor, because at the end of the day, he does have more of a silvery armor that is blue toned.
And why is Tex one of your favorites, Jen? Tex is your next character?
Well, I have to admit that when I started watching Red vs. Blue back in the day when I was an itty bitty teenager, I was kind of sad there wasn't a female in Red vs. Blue, but then came along Tex. And not only was she a female, she was badass. She is a freelancer and is probably, I would argue, the most competent of the group.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're forgetting about the most important female character in the whole show. Sheila, the scorpion tank.
That's very true. Again, it's kind of hard to tell what Tex's armor color actually is. It's sort of different in every scenario, but the wiki says that it's black, so I'm gonna go with black and just put a little tint of purple in there, again, just to hint her back to the blue team.
So with red and blue painted up, we have our fire teams for Halo Flashpoint. But now I need to build something pretty iconic. We've got to return to the board, and I am going to design up the bunker. This base, of course, where so much turmoil in Blood Gulch takes place. But for our board, I'm going to need 2 exactly identical bunkers, which means I'm going to head over to Blender. So we need 2 identical bunkers for this board because, of course, they need to be play spaces, and they also need to fit the measurements we've made for the Flashpoint board, which means I have to deform the classic design of the bunkers just a little bit so they're appropriate for play. Because if the bunkers were to their 1-to-1 scale, they would take up pretty much the whole Flashpoint map, or they would be too small for the Spartans to actually move around and play on them. So I'm calling this my chibi bunker. I made it in Blender, and it's some very simple polygons. I'm keeping this geometry rough. It's an homage to a Xbox era game, so I definitely don't want to overly smooth or update this. While I design this, I keep all of the key features of the bunker intact. While some of them change in proportions based on the original build, they're all functional for the game of Flashpoint. I make sure to keep the gun barricades up the top big enough for a model to hide behind, as well as keeping the ramps and entryways big enough for characters to walk up, even if it will be pretty much impossible to place the model on them without them sliding down. We decided to make it so that the internal room, the one that houses the flag in Capture the Flag game modes, was a playable space in the game as well. Flashpoint has rules for dropping down and climbing up different elevations, but there's also the 2 doors that lead into the bunker as well. Now, due to the layout changes of the bunker and the difficulty of actually moving models around in a building that has a roof, what we decided is to create the entrances to the bunker functionally like little portals. Provided you end your movement in the square that contains it, in another turn or with another movement action, you can move just into the center room where the Capture the Flag would be, and you can also jump in and out of there. The last critical element of this build to get right is the portal chamber. I did want to have a little splashy special effect here, so I decided to make this with channels so I could print a clear resin portal and then run some light green LEDs up through the inside of the bunker and light it up. So once the design is done of the portal on top, and I keep that as a separate piece, I then go and make some channels in the underside of the bunker, and this is space for us to put cables and batteries of these small LED kits. Overall, this is all done, and it's time to put it on the 3D printer and get one of these printing so that Murray can move on and paint it.
The bunker is printed. Here it is. Ta-da! Complete with our little portal that teleports you into the middle of the map. It's time to take this and just like the plastics, it is time to go and spray it black so I can spray it gray again. Let's go. The bunker itself is really simple. It's really just gray. If you look at the game assets, it's a lot lighter towards the bottom, and it's just sort of dragged up in this sort of weathered metal look. So really it's just going to be a task of emulating that. After that, I'm going to paint in the little door recesses black to show that there's room inside. We didn't actually model that, and we're going to try and use the game mechanic of just, it takes a turn to get from, one entrance to another. Then on the top, there's a lot of little decals. I'm going to do the red base, so I'm going to do all the little red sigils on the tops of the flanges here. And then on the inside, there's some sort of glowing halo symbols that are on all the architecture in the game. And bam, it's done. Now all we need is for Dave to put the little LED portal together.
As a finishing touch to the bunker, I grabbed an LED strip from a lovely kit Terraintronic has sent us. We're going to be doing a collab with him soon, but for now, I'll do some quick soldering and we'll make our green portal. It's the third time I've ever soldered. These are some hideous solders, and the soldering iron's broken. Don't worry about it. We've been working really hard to make a new channel direction and really improve the quality of our videos, making things we're passionate about, ignoring trends and waiting till they're ready before releasing them. And the only reason we've been able to do this is thanks to the support of our Patreons. Patrons are the backbone of the channel, and I know a lot of people say this, so people are sick of hearing it, but it's true. So we really do appreciate you, and if you'd like to help support this new direction and make sure we survive long enough to produce more content like this that hopefully you're enjoying, please consider joining up to our Patreon. The links are also down in the description for that. And we'd like to thank our newest patrons who've joined up, starting with Alvin Pothoff,
Matt Titular,
Enverath,
Jared Coad,
Andrew Jaworski,
Cedric Zero,
Salty Ghost 03,
IP Guitars,
Lock Blanche,
Putsy,
Havoc Hobby,
and Carl Butler.
Thank you so much, and we've got more names to read out in next week's video. Thanks everyone.
Ta-da!
So that was our bunker and red versus blue team. I hope this video inspired a little bit of nostalgia in you all. And as you can see, we have so much to do. This board is primed and ready to go, which means in the next video, next week, we are going to be adding all of the terrain, the widgets, the gadgets, the little bits, the canyon walls, everything that makes Blood Gulch Blood Gulch. So if you're keen to see the finish of this project, make sure to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for next weekend's video release.
Definitely one of my favorite parts of the project is getting messy and making the actual board, so I'm very, very excited. A huge thank you to Tabletop Stronghold as well for sponsoring this video. Make sure you go check them out. Links are down in the description below.
Yes, their Black Friday sale, up to 40% off. The biggest sale they've ever done, so your best opportunity to get some cases to carry your armies to tournaments.
Yeah, I think I might have to pick one up as well, because like, I don't know, you've got yours,
There you
so
go.
I need one
That's
as well.
an endorsement. Yeah, I thought I would just get to keep one and be the only one with one. All right, so that is, that's the video.
Yep, we have to wait for this to dry, and before we can start the next video, so Halo?
Halo time?
Again?
More deathmatch?
Yeah,
What,
yeah.
just me versus you?
Me versus you?
Oh, you're
yeah,
right.
yeah, I'm blue team.